So this video is to help students in algebra or pre-algebra find the percent of change. Specifically, this helps algebra students with lesson 2.10 in our algebra book. So percent of change can either be an increase or a decrease in quantity. So you always want to identify, is it going up or is it going down in its change? So there's a formula we use for percent of change, and it is the amount of change over the original amount. So think of this as a before and after story. And so the before story, the beginning of the story, is the original number, and then how that changes is a difference between the before and the after, and that goes on top of your fraction. It probably helps to have a real life example. So let's say at Hedrick last year there were 975 students. And this year our enrollment dropped down a little bit to 950. Okay, so that is a decrease in our enrollment. So we want to find the percent of decrease. So the first thing we do is we find the change in the amount of students. There would be a 25 student decrease here, so that goes on top. 25 is our change, and we compare that as a fraction or a ratio to the original amount, which in this case would be 975. So there we have a fraction. Now we're looking for a percent, so then the next part is just to change the fraction to a decimal, which you do by dividing. So if you grab your calculator, you would do 25 divided by 975, which comes out to about 0.02564, etc. And that's a decimal. We don't want a decimal. What we want is a percent. So to change any decimal to a percent, all we do is multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that becomes about 2.564%. And again, I'm going to put squiggly equals there to say approximately equal to. A lot of times the questions are fine left that way, but sometimes they'll say round this percent of increase to the nearest percent. So this percent is between 2 and 3%, so I'm going to say that's closer to 3%. So what your final answer would say that the enrollment at Hedrick would have been a 3% decrease in enrollment for that year. Now you can find the amount of increase or decrease for almost anything. And one of the things we watch in real life are gas prices. So let's say it was $3.59 a gallon when I went to fill up my car. The next week it was $3.79 a gallon. And we wonder, is that keeping up with inflation? Is that beyond inflation? Is that a ridiculous amount, or is that a normal increase in prices? And we can calculate that using the percent of increase or decrease. In this case, we have an increase of price of about 20 cents a gallon. So that's our change. Now we compared that as a ratio to our original. Our original was $3.59. So this again is an increase in percent as opposed to the last example, which is a decrease. So again, this is a ratio or fraction. We divide this on our calculator, and that's going to give me 0.0557, etc., etc., etc. And then we want to change that again to a percent. So we move the decimal 2 places to the right, and we get about 5.57. And so we say that's about a 6% increase from week to week in gas prices. You can apply this to any change in quantity and find the percent of increase or decrease.